We've been talking about this all morning, that the president has decided that he's going to start pulling U.S. forces out of Syria. Well, we do have confirmation in a statement just a short time ago. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the press secretary, confirming all of that, saying, quote, 5 years ago, ISIS was a very powerful and dangerous force in the Middle East, and now the United States has defeated the territorial caliphate. These victories over ISIS in Syria do not signal the end of the global coalition or its campaign against ISIS. We have started returning United States troops home as we transition to the next phase of this campaign. No word yet on what the next phase is, though. The president first started talking about this last March, but dialed it back quickly after his national security team cautioned that the fight against ISIS was not over and that pulling U.S. forces out could give ISIS an opening to reconstitute. There was also the issue that Iranian forces were operating in Syria as well. This new posture regarding Syria comes a week after President Trump spoke with the Turkish president, Erdogan, over the telephone about all of this. Erdogan has been threatening to attack U.S.-backed Kurdish forces in the northeastern part of Syria, rather, because they're connected with Kurdish militants in Turkey. Now, a couple of questions here that the National Security Council has not bothered to answer this morning, despite our inquiries, and that is, A, if we pull U.S. forces out of Syria, what does that mean about Kurdish forces? Are we leaving them to their own devices against Turkey? We have left forces to fend for themselves before in Afghanistan. It didn't turn out well for the United States. The other issue is the National Security Advisor John Bolton specifically said ahead of the United Nations General Assembly back in September that U.S. forces would not be leaving Syria as long as Iranian-backed forces continue to operate in Syria. So a couple of open questions, Julia, that we do not yet have the answers to, though we have reached out to officials to try to get those answers.
Okay. What is the latest word, moving on now, on this possible government shutdown of the White House possibly coming up with a negotiation here to prevent that from happening?
Well, Mitch McConnell said a short time ago that he is going to introduce later on this morning in the Senate a proposal, a continuing resolution to fund the government through February the 8th. And it appears as though the White House is likely going to have to eat that. As much as the president has said in the past that he didn't want a continuing resolution, wanted $5 billion for the wall. The president has backed off on the demands for $5 billion for the wall. It seems as though he'll take, as much as he can get out of Congress. The latest proposal was for $1.6 billion, with another $1 billion thrown in there for border security, though it wasn't specifically allocated. But the president continuing to say that he wants to build what he always refers to as the wall, saying, quote, in our country, so much money has been poured down the drain for so many years, but when it comes to our border security and the military, the Democrats fight to the death. We won on the military, which is being completely rebuilt. One way or the other, we will win on the wall. As I said, the president wanted $5 billion, but he's not going to get anywhere near that from Congress. So the president is looking for other ways that he can plus up the money. One of the prime targets is the military construction budget. And the president making the argument this morning on Twitter that border security is a national security issue, also saying that Mexico will ultimately foot the bill. The president tweeting, Mexico is paying indirectly for the wall through the new USMCA, the replacement for NAFTA, far more money coming to the U.S. Now, here's the national security part. Because of the tremendous dangers at the border, including large-scale criminal and drug inflow, the United States military will build the wall. Kellyanne Conway this morning saying the president has a duty to control the border. Listen here.
When the president says he's not going to back down from border security and that he'll find the money, quote, one way or the other, it's because he has a solemn obligation to all of us, including people who didn't vote and people who didn't vote for him, to make sure that we are protected in our communities. Folks, this is everybody's business. This has to be nonpartisan. This is about border security. It's a sovereign nation.
So at least if the White House does not dig in its heels this morning, Julie, about this, it looks like the White House is going to have to agree to sign a continuing resolution if it passes through the Senate again. It would keep the government funded through February the 8th, but not give the president what he's looking for. Julie?
All right, John Roberts, thank you.